Hello and welcome to the final match in the 2012 season of National Bible Quiz, a program of the Bible Society of the West Indies. My name is Courtney Stewart and I'll be your quiz master. This is the 12th anniversary of National Bible Quiz and the 12th year of demonstrating that reading and studying the Bible can be both enjoyable and enlightening. Today's match is in the junior category. This is for students 9 to 11 years of age. In this final match, Port Antonio Primary School from Portland will go up against Greater Portmore Primary School from St. Catherine. Tell me, Greater Portmore, you're in the finals. How do you feel?
We feel great, we feel honored.
You feel happy, great, honored. So, Port Antonio Primary, how do you feel?
Excited.
Anxious, excited. Good luck to you both. 80 schools registered to compete in the junior category, and we are now down to the final round, with 2 teams competing for prizes, including the Bible Society of the West Indies Challenge Trophy, cash awards, and other prizes. Let's take a quick look at our sponsored prizes. The winning team receives passes for a group tour of the beautiful Prospect Plantation in St. Anne. Dolphin Cove, the operators of Prospect Plantation, have kindly made provision for parents of team members to accompany the group on the tour of the plantation. Winners will also dine in style and enjoy delectable cuisine at Hotel Four Seasons.
Hotel Four Seasons, 18 Ruthven Road, Kingston 10. Telephone 929-7655 or visit our website at www.hotelfourseasonsjm.com.
Nestle Jamaica, with sponsoring brands Nestle Klim Essential and Milo, has provided gift baskets for the winning team.
Milo with Actigen E and Protomalt mixed with Nestle Klim Essential Milk Powder has more of the nutrients your children need for sustained energy and healthy growth. Nestle, good food, good life.
The runner-up team will receive gift baskets from Wisinco. Sponsoring brand Ocean Spray Water. Special thanks to Juicy Patties for coming on board this year as a major sponsor, with support for refreshments for all the match days. Before we begin today's match, I will introduce those serving with me as officials. Our content judges are Mrs. Zoe Dumas and Mrs. Carmen Bowen. Our timekeeper is Miss Margaret Lorne. Miss Winifred Foster and Miss Dakota Mackenzie are our scorers. Port Antonio Primary School is coached by Kenisha Davis, and Greater Portmore is guided by Denise Henry. To determine which team will face the first question, we will have a sword drill. The team captains will be given a Bible reference, and the first person to find the passage and read it out loud will determine which team will face the first question. Ready, captains?
Yes, sir.
Okay, swords in hand. 2 Chronicles 8, verse 1, charge. 2 Chronicles 8, verse 1.
It took Solomon 20 years to build a temple in his palace.
Okay, and what do you want to do, Nanik?
We'd like to go first.
Okay, so Greater Portmore will go first. For the benefit of viewers at home, the only Bible from which questions have been taken and from which answers will be accepted is this edition of the Good News Translation. Before we begin the match, I am now going to invite the captains to introduce themselves by stating their names and their favorite Bible verses, beginning with the captain from Port Antonio Primary, Jermaine.
My name is Jermaine James, and my favorite Bible verse is taken from Deuteronomy 7, verse 15. The Lord will protect you from all sickness and will not bring on any of the dreadful diseases that you have experienced in Egypt, but he will bring them on your enemies.
My name is Jaden Parkinson. My favorite Bible verse comes from Psalm 91, verse 1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty.
Hello, my name is Tamara Wilson. My favorite Bible verse is taken from Psalm 126, verse 5. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy.
Hello, I am Alia Mays. My favorite Bible verse is Philippians 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Thank you, Port Antonio Primary. And now, Greater Portmore.
Hello viewers, I am Donique Smith, and the text that inspires me the most is Proverbs 3 verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Thank you.
I am Shavana Lewis, and the text that inspires me most is John 3 verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
Hello, viewers. I am Talia Clark, and the text that inspires me the most is Philippians 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Hello viewers, I am Terry Claude Anglin, and the text that inspires me most is 1 Samuel 3 verse 10. And God stood there and called Samuel as he did before. Samuel, Samuel. Samuel answered, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.
And thank you, teams. Each match is divided into 3 sections: sword skill, sword fight, and sword thrust. The word sword is used because the Bible refers to the Word of God as a sword. The rules for this first sword skill section are quite simple. Each team will have 2 60-second periods alternately to answer as many questions as possible. Each correct answer earns the team 2 points. There is no penalty for incorrect responses. Are we ready, Greater Portmore?
Yes, sir.
Who was the spokesman for the brothers on their return to Egypt with the silver cup?
Judah.
Correct. Who did Paul say is at work in us to complete the good work he has started?
Jesus Christ.
No, God. About whom does Paul write? Receive him then with joy as a brother in the Lord.
Epaphroditus.
Correct. As for me, if I must lose my children, I must lose them. When did Jacob say this?
When the brothers told them that they
go to
Egypt, and they told him that the king wanted to see Benjamin too.
Okay. At the end, that's correct. At the meal in Joseph's house, why did the brothers look at each other in amazement?
Because they were the way
seated,
Joseph
seated
seated them
them
from eldest to youngest.
Correct. In his blessing of Joseph and his sons, what did Jacob pray would live on through those boys?
Pass.
His name and the names of his fathers, Abraham and Isaac. Quote, this is all I could ask for. And I can't finish asking you that. And now we go on to Port Antonio Primary for your first 60-second period. Complete with 3 words. These words of the king in answer to Joseph's request. Go and bury your father as you blank, blank, blank.
As you promised you would.
Yes, promise you would, correct. What are Christian believers told to keep on doing?
Imitating Paul.
Incorrect, working to complete their salvation. What does Paul say he does not claim?
That he has already succeeded.
Correct. Give 1 question that the brothers told their father Joseph had asked.
Do you have another brother?
Correct. When the brothers presented their gifts to Joseph, what else did they do?
Knelt and bowed.
Correct. Why did Joseph think his father had made a mistake when blessing Manasseh and Ephraim?
Because he crossed his hand.
Because he crossed his hand.
And
And
put his right on Ephraim
Go on.
and his
And
left
right
on
on-
Manasseh.
Yes, correct. Okay, back now to Greater Portmore Primary for your second and final 60-second period. What word does Paul use to describe how he and the Philippians waited for Christ to come? 1 word.
Eagerly.
Correct. In the king's dream, what stood for 7 years of plenty in Egypt?
Seven fat cows and the seven full ripe corn.
Correct. According to her story, how did Potiphar's wife get Joseph's robe?
He ran out leaving the robe behind when she screamed.
Correct. What did Joseph tell the wine steward he, Joseph, had done to put him in prison?
Nothing.
Correct. What made the king send for Joseph from prison?
Because the wine steward told him that there was a Hebrew slave who could interpret dreams.
Correct. What did Joseph tell his brothers would be the test if they were telling the truth or not?
One of them would have to go and get their younger brother and bring him to him.
Correct. Who did Joseph refer to as his son apart from his own 2 children?
Benjamin.
And the bell went. And the answer is Benjamin. So that's the end of Greater Portmore Primary's second minute. Now, Port Antonio Primary, your second minute. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
What did the king of Egypt instruct the brothers to take back with them to help them to move from Canaan?
Wagons.
Correct. When Jesus is worshipped and proclaimed as Lord, who will receive glory?
God.
Correct. When Joseph told his brothers about his first dream, how did they feel?
They hated him even more.
Correct. What did Potiphar's wife say she had done when Joseph had tried to rape her?
Scream.
Correct. What did Joseph ask the 2 royal officials in prison one morning?
Why do you look so worried?
Correct. For whom did the king send at the start to get the meaning of his dreams?
The wise men and magicians.
Correct. In what manner did Joseph speak to his brothers when they came to buy?
Unfriendly.
Correct. Yes, quite harshly. Yes. Which of Jacob's sons said, "Send the boy with me, and I will pledge my."
Judah.
Correct. Name the animals. And there goes the bell, signifying that we have come to the end of the first section of today's match between Port Antonio Primary School and Greater Portmore Primary. The judges have ruled that the answer that Port Antonio Primary gave to the question, what are Christian believers told to keep on doing? The answer offered by Port Antonio Primary is acceptable. So the scores now are Port Antonio Primary School 28 points and Greater Portmore Primary 20 points. We will now take our first break, but please stay with us to see what happens in section 2 when we return with the exciting continuation of this final match in the junior category of National Bible Quiz 2012. And welcome back to the second segment of the national finals in the junior category of National Bible Quiz 2012. In this section, questions will be asked of individual participants. Each correct answer earns 2 points. Each incorrect response or failure to respond to a question will cause a question to be posed to the corresponding participant on the opposing team. A transferred question that is correctly answered earns 1 point. There is no penalty for incorrect responses. We will begin with Donique and Jermaine. Donique, Paul said he was pulled in 2 directions. Which did he decide was the more important?
Death. Life.
Well, I'm going to have to pass it on to Jermaine.
Staying with the Philippians.
Correct. Donique, what was the name of the city near to which Joseph settled his father and brothers?
Ramesses.
Yes, Ramesses, that's correct. How did Jacob describe the years of his life to the king?
Wonder, one of wonder in fear and difficulty.
Correct. And now, Jermaine, your 3 questions. What does Paul say that Christ will do for the Philippian believers when he returns?
Pass.
Donique?
Change their body to be like his glorious body.
Yes. Don't be so timid. Jermaine, how did the Egyptians feel about becoming slaves and losing their land as a result of the famine? Donique?
No, sir.
They were grateful. True or false, Jermaine? When put to the test, Judah was faithful to the promise he made to his father.
True.
You're correct. And now we go on to Shavonna and Jadion. Shavonna, Paul was in prison, but he wrote that he was happy. Why?
Because of how the Philippians helped him.
Incorrect. Jadion?
Because of the gifts.
Incorrect. Because the message about Christ was being more widely preached, or he felt confident that he would soon be set free. Second question for you, Shavonna. After Jacob's death and funeral, what were Joseph's brothers worried about?
That Joseph was still angry with them and would pay them back for the harm they did.
You are correct. Final question for you, Shavonna. How did Joseph place his hands in front? How did Joseph place his sons in front of Jacob?
Ephraim on the left and Manasseh on the right.
You're correct. Jadion, your three questions. What did Paul say the palace guard and others had come to know about him?
That he was in prison.
Incomplete. Shavonna?
That he was in prison and he was in charge.
Not quite. That he was in prison because he was a servant of Christ. Second question for you, Jadion. Where did Jacob's huge burial procession stop on the way? Shavonna?
At Atad.
Correct. And final question for you, Jadion. With what words did Joseph introduce his sons to Jacob? And this goes to Shavonna.
These are my two sons.
It's incomplete. These are my sons whom God has given me here in Egypt. And now we go on to Thalia and Aliyah. Thalia, why was Paul not bothered about the wrong motives for which some people preached?
Because the gospel was still being preached.
Correct. According to what Joseph told the king, what would be the effect of the famine in Egypt?
There will be a limited amount of food.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm looking for. Aliyah?
It will be severe.
That's true too, but it's still not what I'm looking for. It would ruin the country. Final question for you, Thalia. Which of Jacob's sons was the first to volunteer to bring Benjamin back to the father?
Judah.
Incorrect. Aliyah?
Reuben.
Yes, you're correct. It's Reuben. And now your three questions, Aliyah. Perhaps Paul will have to die for his faith. How does he feel about this possibility? Thalia?
Proud.
No, happy, joyful. Why had the king been given the dreams, Aliyah?
So that they could prepare for the famine.
And Thalia.
Sir, to show its importance.
Actually, what we're looking for is that God wanted to tell him what God, was going to do. What did Joseph say? Final question for you, Aliyah. What did Joseph say was the purpose of the brothers coming to Egypt the first time?
To find out where his country is weak.
Correct. And now we move on to Terry Claude and Tamra. Terry Claude, how did the wine steward describe Joseph?
A young Hebrew.
Correct. Why was Joseph put in prison?
Because Potiphar's wife spoke against him. Potiphar's wife said that he tried to rape her.
Yes, that's right. And final question for you. Who did Paul say was the only one who shared his feeling and cared for the Philippians?
Timothy.
Correct. Tamra, your 3 questions. When did the wine steward remember Joseph?
When he saw that the magicians and wise men could not interpret the king's dream.
Correct. How did Potiphar's wife come to have Joseph's robe?
She screamed and he ran out and left it.
Correct. What is Paul begging the 2 Christian sisters in Philippi to do?
To agree as sisters in the Lord.
Yes, that's correct. And there goes the bell, signifying that we have come to the end of section 2 of today's match. The current standing is Port Antonio Primary, 40 points. Greater Portmore Primary, 38 points. We're now going to take another break from the National Bible Quiz 2012. We'll be right back. Thank you for rejoining us for the 3rd and final segment of this final match between 2 excellent schools in the junior category of National Bible Quiz 2012. Port Antonio Primary School from Portland and the Greater Portmore Primary School from St. Catherine. In this segment, 10 questions will be asked. The team to press the buzzer first earns a right to offer a response to the question. Each correct answer earns the team 4 points. But each incorrect or incomplete answer will cause the team to lose 4 points. There are 2 bonus questions hidden in this final round. The team that correctly answers the question containing the bonus question will have the opportunity to answer the bonus question for an additional 2 points. Points are not deducted if the bonus questions are answered incorrectly. Are we ready, teams?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go right into the questions. What did Joseph do in addition to telling the king the meaning of the dreams? Greater Portmore.
He told them to put some men of wisdom and insight to be in charge of the country.
Correct. Paul said that certain people thought only of things that belong to this world. However, what did he say about himself and the Philippian believers to show they were different? Port Antonio Primary.
That they are citizens of heaven.
Correct. What did Jacob confidently expect God to do for Joseph and his Greater Portmore Primary?
Let the man have pity on them and give them back Benjamin.
No. The question reads, what did Jacob confidently expect God to do for Joseph and his other sons in the future? And the answer, take them back to the land of their ancestors. Give Joseph's reply when the king said to him, I have been told that you can interpret dreams. Port Antonio Primary.
I cannot hear Majesty, but God will give a favorable interpretation.
Correct. How many times in his letter does Paul write, in conclusion, my brothers and sisters? Port Antonio Primary.
Once.
No, twice. And that question carried a bonus question. Quote from the passage. How did the brothers feel when one of them found his money in his Greater Portmore Primary?
They were afraid and asked what
Their hearts sank in fear.
Their hearts sank in fear.
Correct. Their hearts sank. What did Joseph's servants say about the money the brothers had found in their sack? Port Antonio Primary.
Your God, the God of your father, must have put the money back in your sacks.
Correct. What does Paul say in praise of Euodia and Syntyche? Greater Portmore Primary.
They must agree as sisters in the Lord. They must try to agree as sisters in the Lord.
Incorrect. They had worked hard with him to spread the gospel. What information did Jacob want Joseph to get for him when he's Port Antonio Primary?
If his brother and the flocks are okay.
Correct. And that question carries a bonus question. So you get a bonus question, Port Antonio Primary. What did Joseph's servants do as soon as he and the brothers reached Joseph's house?
Give them water to wash their feet.
Incorrect. He brought Simeon to them. Final question. Paul regarded it as a privilege to serve and suffer for Christ. What else did he consider to be a privilege? Greater Portmore Primary.
To worship God by how the gospel requires.
Incorrect. To defend and establish the gospel firmly. And here goes the bell. We have come to the end of not only this third section, but the entire match and the entire competition in the juniors category of National Bible Quiz 2012. The scores have been adjusted in favor of Port Antonio Primary. The judges have ruled that their answer to the question, the bonus question, what did Joseph's servants do as soon as he and the brothers reached Joseph's house, is correct and acceptable. So the scores now are Port Antonio Primary School 54 points and Greater Portmore Primary School 34 points. So congratulations, Port Antonio Primary School, the new champions. I now invite Right Reverend Stanley Clark, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Bible Society of the West Indies, to present the Bible Society Trophy to the 2012 champion, Port Antonio Primary School. Captain Jermaine.
Thank you very much, Dolphin Cove.
Thank you, Nestle.
Thank you, Hotel Four Seasons.
Thank you very much, Wisinko.
Thank you, Bible Society.